Derek's boot slammed into Lena's stomach for the third time. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream. The alley pavement was cold and wet beneath her cheek, rain mixing with the blood pouring from her nose. His hand fisted in her hair, yanking her head back until her neck burned. "Where's the kid?" Derek snarled, his breath hot against her ear. "Tell me where you're hiding him, or I swear to God." His fist drove into her ribs. Something cracked. The world went white with pain. Then a voice, cold, deadly, cutting through the rain like a knife. "Let her go." Before we continue with Lena's story tonight, please hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the very end. Comment below with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now let's continue. The alley behind Russo's was supposed to be safe. That's what everyone said. Nobody caused trouble within 3 blocks of Adrian Russo's restaurant. Nobody was that stupid. Apparently Derek was. "You owe me, Derek hissed, his breath hot and rank against her ear. "Your sister owed me, and now she's gone, so you pay. You and that little brat." "He's 8 years old," Lena choked out. "He's just a child." The next hit made her ears ring. She felt herself losing consciousness, felt the world tilting sideways. This was it. This was how it ended, and Noah would be alone, again. Just like when his mother, Lena's sister, had died 6 months ago, leaving him with nightmares and a silence so deep it felt like drowning. She tried to fight. Her hands pushed weakly against Derek's chest, but he was twice her size, and the last 3 years of survival had left her running on empty. She worked 2 jobs. She barely slept. She had nothing left. "Let her go." The voice cut through the rain like a blade. Derek's grip loosened slightly. Lena could feel his body tense, could sense the shift in the air. Someone was behind them. Someone who made Derek violent, unpredictable. Derek hesitated. "This doesn't concern you," Derek called out, but there was something in his voice now. Uncertainty, maybe even fear. "Everything that happens behind my restaurant concerns me." Footsteps, slow, deliberate. The measured pace of someone who didn't need to rush because they absolutely knew they had already won. Lena managed to turn her head just enough to see him. Tall, dark suit that probably cost more than her annual rent. Eyes that reflected the amber glow of the streetlight with a coldness that made her shiver despite the adrenaline. He looked like money. He looked like power. He looked like the kind of man you didn't cross unless you had a death wish. Adrian Russo. She'd seen him exactly once before 3 weeks ago when she delivered catering supplies to the kitchen entrance. He'd been standing in the doorway of his office talking on the phone in Italian, and their eyes had met for maybe 2 seconds. That was it. 2 seconds, and then he'd looked away and she'd finished her delivery and left. He wouldn't remember her. Why would he? "I said," Derek's voice cracked slightly, "this doesn't concern you." "And I said," Adrian replied, his tone never rising, never changing, "let her go." Derek's hand tightened in Lena's hair one more time, a final act of defiance or stupidity, she couldn't tell which. Then he shoved her forward. She hit the ground, hard, palms scraping against gravel and broken glass. "You know who I am," Derek demanded. "You know what I can—" "I know exactly who you are, Derek Hoffman. I know you have 2 outstanding warrants in Jersey. I know you violated parole 14 months ago. I know you're currently living in a motel on 8th Avenue under a fake name. Room 217. Would you like me to continue?" The silence that followed was deafening. Lena pushed herself up onto her hands and knees, coughing. Blood dripped from her mouth onto the wet pavement. Everything hurt. Her ribs screamed with each breath. "How did you," Derek started. "Leave," Adrian said simply, "and don't come back. She's family. That kid is family. I have rights. You have nothing. Walk away now or I'll make sure those warrants turn into convictions, along with aggravated assault, attempted kidnapping, and whatever else I feel like adding to the list." Derek took a step backward, then another. His eyes darted between Adrian and Lena, calculating, weighing his options. Finally, he spat on the ground near Lena's hand. "This isn't over," he muttered. "Yes," Adrian said quietly. "It is." Derek ran, actually ran. His footsteps echoed off the alley walls and then faded into the sound of traffic and rain. Lena stayed on her hands and knees, shaking. She didn't trust her legs to hold her. Didn't trust herself not to collapse completely. Those expensive shoes appeared in her line of vision. Adrian crouched down, not quite close enough to touch, her maintaining a careful distance. Can you stand? She nodded, not trusting her voice. That wasn't a rhetorical question. Can you physically stand right now? Yes. I think so. She pushed herself up. The world spun. Strong hands caught her elbows, steadying her without grabbing, supporting, without trapping. She flinched anyway. Couldn't help it. Adrian released her immediately, stepping back with his hands slightly raised. You need a hospital. I need to get home. My nephew is with Mrs. Chen in apartment 4B. She texted you 20 minutes ago, saying he finished his homework and asking if he could have ice cream. Lena stared at him. How do you... Your phone. He gestured to the ground where her purse had spilled. The screen was lit up with notifications. I could see it from here. That made sense. That was logical, except nothing about this situation was logical. Who are you? She asked, even though she already knew. Everyone in this neighborhood knew. Adrian Russo. I own the restaurant. I know. I mean, why did you help me? You don't know me. Something flickered across his face. Too fast to read. I know you deliver supplies every Tuesday morning. I know you have excellent taste in coffee because you always bring a cup from Cole's, not the chain place. I know you're always exactly on time and you always thank the kitchen staff by name. She must have looked as shocked as she felt because he added, I pay attention to my business and to the people around it. That doesn't explain why you were attacked behind my restaurant. That makes it my concern. The rain was falling harder now. Lena realized she was shivering, though, whether from cold or shock or fear, she couldn't tell. Her face throbbed. Her ribs felt like they were on fire. But worse than the pain was the creeping realization that Derek had found her, which meant he knew where she lived, which meant Noah wasn't safe. I have to go, she said suddenly, urgently. I have to get Noah, and we have to... Where will you go? The question stopped her cold. Where would she go? She had $300 in her checking account. No family except Derek, who clearly wanted to hurt them. No friends close enough to put in danger. Nowhere to run that Derek couldn't eventually find. I'll figure it out, she said, bending to gather her scattered groceries. Most of the produce was ruined. The bread was soaked. She picked up what she could salvage anyway, because she had to, because that's what you did when you had $8 left until Friday. Miss Carter? She froze. He knew her name. You can't protect him alone, not from someone like Derek. I've been protecting him alone for 6 months. She shot back anger, finally cutting through the fear. We've been fine. You're bleeding on my property. That's not fine. Then I'll leave your property. That's not what I meant. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. I'm having someone bring a car around. I don't need... You can barely walk. You definitely can't take the subway like this. The car will take you home. He paused. And tomorrow morning, someone will come to your apartment to talk about options. What kind of options? The kind that keep you and your nephew safe. Lena wanted to argue, wanted to tell him to mind his own business, that she didn't need help from someone like him, someone whose name people whispered with equal parts respect and fear. But her ribs hurt with every breath, and Derek's words kept echoing in her head. You owe me. And she thought about Noah's drawings, how he'd finally started including people in them again after months of drawing only empty rooms and dark skies. Why, she asked again, quieter this time. Why do you care? Adrian looked at her for a long moment. In the amber streetlight, his eyes were unreadable. Because, he said finally, someone should have cared when I was 8 years old, and no one did. Before she could respond, a black car pulled up to the mouth of the alley. The driver got out, opened the back door. Go home, Adrian said. Lock your door. Don't answer if anyone knocks unless it's Mrs. Chen. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. My associate will explain everything. I don't want to owe. You don't owe me anything. His voice was firm. But you owe that boy a chance to grow up safe. Think about it. The driver was waiting. Lena's legs were shaking so badly she wasn't sure she could make it to the car. She took one step, then another. Her vision grayed at the edges. The driver caught her as she stumbled, helped her into the back seat with a gentleness that surprised her. The leather was soft and warm. The car smelled like expensive cologne and rain. Through the window, she could see Adrian still standing in the alley, phone to his ear, his expression carved from stone. Then the car pulled away, and he disappeared into the darkness. Lena closed her eyes. Every part of her body hurt. But worse than the pain was the knowledge that he was right. She couldn't protect Noah, not from Derek, not alone. The car moved smoothly through the wet streets. The driver didn't try to make conversation, just drove with practiced efficiency toward her address, which she hadn't given him, she realized. He already knew. Of course he did. Adrian Russo knew everything. When they pulled up outside her building, the driver came around to help her out. Mrs. Chen was in the lobby, her eyes widening at the state of Lena's face. Oh my God, what happened? I'm fine. Is Noah asleep on my couch? Lena, your face. I'm fine, she repeated, though she absolutely wasn't. Thank you for watching him. I'll come get him in just a minute. I need to. But Mrs. Chen was already heading back to her apartment, already bringing Noah out. He was half asleep, his small body curled around the stuffed rabbit he carried everywhere. When he saw Lena, his eyes went wide. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. It never did. Not since the night his mother died. Hey, baby, Lena whispered, kneeling down even though it made her ribs scream. I'm okay. I just had a little accident, but I'm okay. Noah's small hands reached out, touched her face gently where the bruises were already forming. His eyes asked the question his voice couldn't. Just clumsy me, she lied. Slipped in the rain. Silly, right? He didn't believe her, go on. She could see it in his eyes, but he was 8 and traumatized and had learned long ago that the world was full of things that hurted people. So he just hugged her, careful of her ribs like he somehow knew exactly where it hurt most. Mrs. Chen helped them upstairs, helped Lena get Noah into bed. Whispered that she'd call the police, that this wasn't right, that Lena needed to report what happened. I will, Lena lied. Tomorrow, I promise. After Mrs. Chen left, Lena locked the door. Then she checked every window, pulled the curtains, pushed a chair against the front door even though the lock was already engaged. In Noah's room, she sat on the edge of his bed and watched him sleep. His face was peaceful now, younger than 8, innocent in a way that broke her heart. On his nightstand were his drawings. She picked up the top one. It showed 2 stick figures, one big one, small, surrounded by dark scribbles. The small figure had its hand in the big figure's hand. At the top of the page, in careful letters, Noah had written, safe, not a statement, a question. Lena's eyes burned. She set the drawing down carefully. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, Adrian Russo's associate would come with options, with promises of protection. And Lena knew, even as she told herself she'd refuse, even as she reminded herself that men like Adrian Russo didn't help people out of kindness, that she was going to say yes. Because Derek had found them, and he would come back. And next time she might not be the only one bleeding on the pavement. Next time it might be Noah. She pulled the blanket up around her nephew's shoulders, kissed his forehead, and whispered, I'll keep you safe, whatever it takes. In the darkness of the apartment, with rain still falling against the windows and the memory of Adrian Russo's cold eyes burned into her mind, Lena Carter made a choice. She just didn't know yet how much it would cost her. The black car idled at the curb outside Lena's building until dawn. She knew because she stood at her window all night, watching it, waiting for something to happen, waiting for men to pour out, waiting for Derek to come back, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But nothing happened. The car just sat there silent and still a promise or a threat, she couldn't tell which. At 9:45 the next morning, someone knocked on her door. Lena had been awake for 27 hours straight. Noah was still asleep, finally, after waking up 3 times from nightmares. Her face looked worse in the daylight, purple and yellow bruises spreading across her cheekbone, her lips swollen and split. Every breath still felt like glass in her lungs. She looked through the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway, late 30s, maybe 40, expensive suit, hair pulled back in a severe bun. She held a leather portfolio and looked like she'd stepped out of a law firm billboard. Miss Carter, the woman said without Lena opening the door. My name is Victoria Rains. Mr. Russo sent me. May I come in? Lena's hand hovered over the deadbolt. How do I know you're really from him? You don't. But the alternative is standing in your hallway discussing your options loud enough for your neighbors to hear. Your choice. Lena opened the door. Victoria walked in with the confidence of someone who'd been in 1,000 apartments just like this one. She didn't comment on the peeling paint or the water stain on the ceiling or the toys scattered across the floor. Just set her portfolio on the coffee table and sat down without being invited. Coffee, Lena asked, because that's what you did even when nothing made sense anymore. No, thank you. How are your ribs? Fine. You're lying. You should see a doctor. I can't afford. Mr. Russo has arranged for a physician to visit this afternoon, 2 o'clock. He'll come here so you don't have to leave Noah. Lena sat down slowly on the opposite end of the couch. I didn't agree to anything. No, but you didn't refuse either. You let his driver bring you home. You didn't call the police. And you're sitting here listening to me instead of throwing me out. So let's stop pretending you're not interested and talk about what happens next. There was something almost refreshing about Victoria's bluntness. No fake sympathy, no manipulation. Just cold, hard facts laid out like cards on a table. What does he want? Lena asked. To keep you and your nephew safe. Why, does it matter? Yes. Victoria opened her portfolio, pulled out a thin folder. Derek Hoffman, 34 years old. 3 assault charges, 2 convictions. History of substance abuse. Violated parole by leaving New Jersey without permission. Currently wanted in connection with a convenience store robbery in Atlantic City. She looked up. He's your cousin. Second cousin, I barely knew him before. Lena stopped. Before your sister died and left you with her son, the son Derek believes is entitled to a portion of your sister's estate. What estate? She died with $17,000 in medical debt. Derek doesn't know that, or doesn't believe it. Either way, he wants something from you, and he's not going to stop until he gets it or until someone stops him. Lena's hands were shaking. She clasped them together. The police will take a report, maybe issue a warrant, maybe even arrest him eventually. And then what? He makes bail. He comes back. The system isn't designed to protect people like you, Miss Carter. It's designed to punish people like Derek after they've already hurt someone. Sometimes after they've killed someone. The words hit like a physical blow. Lena thought about Noah's drawings, about the question mark after the word safe. What exactly is Mr. Russo offering? Victoria pulled out another document. Employment. You'll work as a floor manager at Russo's. Salary is $75,000 a year plus benefits. Health insurance, dental, vision, a college fund for Noah that Mr. Russo will match dollar for dollar up to $50,000. Lena's breath caught. $75,000. She currently made $32 working 2 jobs. What's the catch? You live where Mr. Russo tells you to live. You go where he tells you to go. You follow security protocols, and you don't ask questions about his business. His business? You mean his business, Victoria interrupted smoothly. The restaurant, the real estate holdings, the various investments, that's all you need to know. But Lena knew what she meant. Everyone knew what Adrian Russo really was. The restaurant was legitimate, but the man himself existed in shadows in whispered conversations, in the kind of power that didn't come from honest work. I'd be working for the Mafia, Lena said flatly. You'd be working for a man who can guarantee Derek never touches you or Noah again. By doing what? Killing him. Victoria's expression didn't change. By making it clear that the cost of touching you is higher than Derek is willing to pay. Mr. Russo has considerable resources, legal and otherwise. Derek will understand very quickly that you are protected. Most men like Derek are fundamentally cowards. They only prey on the vulnerable. Once you're not vulnerable anymore, they move on. And if he doesn't, then Mr. Russo will handle it. The way she said it, handle it, made Lena's stomach turn. But beneath the revulsion was something else. Something that felt almost like relief, because Derek had already proven the system couldn't stop him. He'd violated parole, skipped bail, assaulted her in public, and he was still out there, still hunting them. I need to think about it, Lena said. Of course. You have until 5 o'clock today. That's not enough time. That's all the time there is. Derek knows where you live, Miss Carter. He knows Noah's school. He knows your routine. Every hour you wait is an hour he has to come back. Mr. Russo is offering you a way out. I suggest you take it. Victoria stood, smoothed her skirt. From her pocket, she pulled out a business card. My number. Call before 5. After that, the offer expires. And then what? Then you're on your own, and we both know how that ends. She left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her, and Lena sat in the sudden silence staring at the business card in her hand. $75,000, health insurance, a college fund, safety. All she had to do was sell her soul to a man who made his living in the dark. Noah appeared in the hallway rubbing his eyes. When he saw her face, he froze. Then he ran to her, his small body colliding with hers, and she bit back a gasp of pain as his weight hit her broken ribs. "I'm okay," she whispered, stroking his hair. "I'm okay, baby. I promise." He pulled back, looked at her face, then carefully touched the bruise on her cheek with one finger. His eyes were huge and terrified. "Just an accident," she lied again. "But you know what I've been thinking? How would you like to live somewhere new? Somewhere with a big yard, maybe somewhere safe?" Noah's expression was so hopeful it broke her heart. He nodded frantically. "Okay," Lena said softly. "Okay, we're going to make some changes. Good changes. I promise." She called Victoria at 11:30. "I'll take it," Lena said. The job, all of it, I'll take it." "Smart choice. A car will pick you up at 6 tonight. Bring only what you need for a few days. Everything else will be moved to the new apartment by Monday." "Wait, tonight? We're moving tonight." "The longer you stay in that apartment, the longer Derek has to find you again. Mr. Russo has arranged temporary housing until your permanent residence is ready. The car will take you there." "What about Noah's school?" "He'll be enrolled in St. Catherine's starting Monday. It's private, secure, and 20 minutes from your new apartment." "I can't afford private school." "It's included, part of the employment package. Is there anything else?" "Yes, 1,000 things. None of them mattered." "No," Lena said. "We'll be ready." She spent the afternoon packing their lives into 3 suitcases. Noah helped carefully folding his clothes, organizing his toys. He kept looking at her with questions in his eyes. Where were they going? Why were they leaving? Would they be safe? But he didn't ask, couldn't ask, just trusted her to make it right. God, she hoped she was making the right choice. At 5:45, Mrs. Chen knocked on the door. "Lena, honey, there's a car outside, big black thing. Man in a suit asked for you." "I know, we're leaving." "Leaving? Where are you going?" "Somewhere safer." "Mrs. Chen, thank you for everything, for watching Noah, for being kind to us. I won't forget it." The older woman's eyes filled with tears. "You're not coming back, are you?" "I don't know, maybe not. That man last night, he found you." "Yes." "And this," Mrs. Chen gestured toward the window, toward the car. "This is about protection." "Yes." Mrs. Chen grabbed Lena's hands. "Be careful. Men who offer protection like this, they always want something in return." "I know." "Do you really come?" Lena thought about Adrian Russo's cold eyes, about Victoria's careful words, about the way the driver had known her address without being told. "I know," she repeated, "but I don't have another choice." The car was waiting. Same driver as last night. He loaded their suitcases without comment, opened the back door. Noah climbed in first, his eyes wide as he took in the leather seats, the tinted windows, the feeling of being wrapped in expensive silence. Lena slid in beside him. The door closed, the locks engaged with a soft click. They pulled away from the only home Noah had known since his mother died. Lena watched through the rear window as their building got smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. "Where are we going?" she asked the driver. "Estate in Westchester. About 40 minutes. Estate, Mr. Russo's property. You'll be staying in the guest house until your apartment is ready." Lena's stomach dropped. "We're staying at his house. The guest house. Separate building. Fully furnished. Private entrance. You won't see Mr. Russo unless there's a reason." Noah tugged on her sleeve, pointed out the window. They'd left the city now, were driving through neighborhoods with actual trees, actual yards. Places Lena had only ever seen on television. The drive took 37 minutes. They turned off the main road onto a private drive flanked by stone pillars. Cameras everywhere. A guardhouse at the gate. The guard waved them through without stopping. The main house appeared through the trees like something from a magazine. Stone and glass and money. Too much money. The kind of house that represented everything Lena had never been, never had, never even dreamed of having. The car bypassed the main house, followed a smaller road to a cottage tucked into the woods. Lights were already on inside, warm and inviting. The driver helped them out, carried their suitcases to the front door. "Kitchen is stocked. Security code is on the counter. Don't leave the property without clearance. Someone will brief you tomorrow on protocols." Then he was gone, and Lena and Noah were standing alone in front of this beautiful little house that was supposed to be their salvation. Noah pushed open the door. Inside was nicer than anywhere they'd ever lived. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture. A kitchen that looked like it belonged in a cooking show. Upstairs, 2 bedrooms, both bigger than their entire previous apartment. Noah ran from room to room, his silence finally breaking into small sounds of wonder. He'd never had his own bedroom before, never had space to spread out. Lena found a note on the kitchen counter next to the security code. Doctor arrives tomorrow at 10. Victoria will come at noon to discuss your schedule. Make yourself at home. A.R. Make yourself at home in the guest house of a mafia boss, in a world where protection came with invisible price tags. Lena sat down at the kitchen table and put her head in her hands. What had she done? Noah appeared beside her, touched her shoulder. When she looked up, he was holding one of his drawings. This one was new. He must have drawn it in the car, 2 stacked figures standing in front of a house. Above it, he'd written just one word this time. Safe. Not a question. A statement. Hope. Lena pulled him into her arms, careful of her ribs, and held him tight. Yeah, baby, we're safe now, I promise. She just hoped it was a promise she could keep. Outside through the window, she could see lights from the main house through the trees. Adrian Russo was in there somewhere, the man who'd bought their safety with money and power, and God only knew what else. She thought about his words in the alley. Someone should have cared when I was 8 years old, and no one did. What had happened to him? What had made him into whatever he was now? And more importantly, what would he become to them? Protector, savior, captor. Only time would tell. Lena started unpacking their suitcases. Noah helped putting his clothes in his new dresser, arranging his toys on new shelves, slowly, carefully making this strange place feel like something that might become home. At 8 o'clock, Lena's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Miss Carter, this is Adrian Russo. I wanted to make sure you arrived safely. His voice was different on the phone, quieter, almost gentle. We did, thank you. The guest house has everything you need. Yes, it's very generous. It's the minimum. You and Noah deserve better than running and hiding. Lena didn't know what to say to that. Tomorrow, Victoria will explain your duties at the restaurant. Adrian continued. The work is legitimate. You'll be managing the front of house, overseeing reservations, handling special events. Nothing illegal, nothing dangerous. I need you to understand that. Okay. And Miss Carter, Lena, I need you to understand something else. You're not a prisoner here. You can leave anytime you want. But if you stay, I will keep you safe. That's not a threat. It's a promise. Why? The question slipped out before she could stop it. Why do you care? Silence. Then because Noah is 8 years old. And 8-year-olds shouldn't have to be afraid. The line went dead. Lena stood in the kitchen, phone in her hand, trying to understand the man who'd just spoken to her, trying to reconcile the cold-eyed figure from the alley with the voice that had just said 8-year-olds shouldn't have to be afraid. Noah appeared in the doorway holding his stuffed rabbit. He pointed upstairs, then made a sleeping gesture. Yeah, Lena said. Bedtime, come on. She tucked him into his new bed in his new room in this new life they'd somehow fallen into. He looked small in the big bed, young and fragile and trusting. We're going to be okay, she whispered. I don't know how yet, but we're going to be okay. Noah's hand found hers in the dark, squeezed once. Lena stayed until he fell asleep, then went downstairs and locked every door, checked every window, set the alarm code, the way the driver had shown her. Through the kitchen window, she could still see the main house. One light was on in an upstairs room. As she watched a figure move past the window, tall, unmistakable, Adrian Russo awake at this hour in his fortress of stone and glass and secrets. Watching over them, or just watching Lena close the curtains and went to bed. Tomorrow would bring the Dr. Victoria protocols, rules the beginning of whatever this new life was going to be. But tonight, for the first time in 6 months, she fell asleep without one ear listening for footsteps in the hallway. Tonight, someone else was doing the watching. And God help her, but that felt like relief. The doctor arrived at exactly 10 o'clock carrying a black medical bag that looked like it belonged in a different century. Miss Carter, he said, extending his hand. I'm Dr. Chen, no relation to your former neighbor, I assume. Lena shook his hand, surprised by the gentle humor. She'd expected someone cold clinical bought and paid for by Adrian Russo. Instead, Dr. Chen had kind eyes and the sort of presence that made you trust him immediately. Let's see what we're dealing with, he said, setting his bag on the kitchen table. The examination was thorough but gentle. 2 cracked ribs confirmed, severe bruising across her torso and face. A mild concussion she hadn't even realized she had. Dr. Chen worked silently, his hands expert and careful. "You're lucky," he said finally. "Another hit to the head, and we'd be having a very different conversation." "Doesn't feel lucky." "No, I imagine it doesn't." He pulled out prescription bottles from his bag, pain medication, muscle relaxers for nighttime. And this, he held up a small card, "is my personal number. Any problems, any pain that gets worse instead of better, you call me. Day or night." "Why?" The question kept coming back. "Why are you helping me?" Dr. Chen packed his instruments carefully. 10 years ago, my daughter was in an abusive relationship. The system failed her repeatedly. By the time anyone took it seriously, she lost hearing in one ear and had 3 broken bones. Mr. Russo helped her disappear, helped her start over. She's married now, happy 2 kids. So when he asked me to help someone, I helped, no questions asked. He stood, picked up his bag. "The ribs will heal in 6 to 8 weeks. Take the medication as prescribed. Rest as much as you can. And Miss Carter, you made the right choice coming here." After he left, Lena sat at the table holding the prescription bottles. Her entire life had become this, a series of strangers telling her she'd made the right choice while she waited to find out what the choice would actually cost. Victoria arrived at noon with an armful of folders in the same no-nonsense efficiency. "The restaurant opens at 5, she said, spreading documents across the table. "You'll start Monday, 3 shifts a week to begin Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Noah will be in school during your day shifts, and we've arranged for a sitter on Saturday evenings." "I don't need a sitter. I can..." "You can't bring an 8-year-old to work at an upscale restaurant, and you can't leave him alone. The sitter's name is Maria. She's worked for Mr. Russo's family for 15 years. Former elementary school teacher. Noah will like her." Lena wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Everything was being decided for her, arranged around her, and she was supposed to just accept it all with gratitude. "Your apartment will be ready next Friday," Victoria continued. 2-bedroom Upper West Side full security system. Doorman building. You'll have your own lease, your own keys. Mr. Russo's name appears nowhere on the paperwork." "How is that possible? I can't afford rent in that neighborhood." "The restaurant is paying, part of the management package." Victoria's tone suggested this topic was not open for discussion. "Now, security protocols. You don't leave the estate without informing the security team. You don't give anyone your new address. You don't post on social media. You don't contact anyone from your old life without clearance. That's not protection, that's prison. That's staying alive." Victoria's voice hardened. "Derek Hoffman is still out there. He's already tried to find you. 3 times since Friday night he's gone to your old apartment. The first time he broke a window. The second time he threatened Mrs. Chen. The third time he was arrested for trespassing, but he made bail within 4 hours. So yes, these are the rules. Follow them or take your chances on your own." The blood drained from Lena's face. "He threatened Mrs. Chen. She's fine. Mr. Russo has arranged for security at her building. But Derek is escalating, which means we don't take chances." Noah appeared in the doorway holding his stuffed rabbit. He looked between Lena and Victoria, sensing the tension. "It's okay, baby," Lena said quickly. "This is Miss Victoria. She's helping us with our new jobs." Noah studied Victoria with the suspicious eyes of a child who'd learned adults couldn't always be trusted. Victoria, to her credit, softened slightly. "Hello, Noah," she said. "I hear you're starting at St. Catherine's on Monday. My nephew goes there. He's in 4th grade. Maybe you'll be friends." Noah didn't respond, just pressed closer to Lena. Victoria gathered her folders. "Maria will be here at 4 to meet Noah. Take the rest of the weekend to settle in. Monday, someone will drive you both to school and then to the restaurant. Any questions?" 1,000, none that Victoria would answer honestly. "No," Lena said. After Victoria left, Lena pulled Noah onto her lap, careful of her ribs. He was getting too big for this, but right now she needed to hold him, needed to feel his solid weight and know he was safe. "Big changes, huh?" she whispered. He nodded against her shoulder. "You scared?" Another nod. "Me too. But we're together. That's what matters. We're together and we're safe." He pulled back, looked at her face. Then he pointed toward the main house visible through the window. His eyes asked the question, "Who is he, the man who brought us here?" "Someone who wants to help," Lena said, hoping it was true. "Someone strong enough to keep the bad people away." Noah's expression suggested he wasn't entirely convinced. Smart kid. Maria arrived at 4 carrying a bag of art supplies and the warmest smile Lena had seen in months. "You must be Noah," she said, kneeling to his eye level. "I brought markers and paper. I heard you like to draw. Want to show me what you're working on?" Noah hesitated, then slowly pulled out his sketchbook. Maria looked through it with genuine interest, commenting on his use of color, asking questions about his subjects. Within 10 minutes, they were sitting at the kitchen table together, Noah actually drawing, while Maria worked beside him on her own paper. "He doesn't talk," Lena said quietly. "I know, Mr. Russo told me. Trauma-induced selective mutism, right? The doctors think so, since his mother died. My son had it for 2 years after my divorce. He talks now, never shuts up, actually." Maria smiled. "They heal, in their own time. Meanwhile, we just love them and let them know they're safe." Lena felt her eyes burn. When was the last time someone had understood without judging? Without suggesting therapy she couldn't afford, or implying she was failing Noah, somehow, "Thank you," she whispered. That night, after Maria left and Noah was asleep, Lena's phone rang. Adrian Russo again. "Victoria said you met Maria." "Yes, she's wonderful." "Good. I wanted to ask, how is Noah adjusting?" The question caught her off guard. "He's scared, confused, but he seems to like it here." "And you, What was she terrified, grateful, trapped, adjusting?" "Lena, I know this is overwhelming. I know you have no reason to trust me. But I need you to understand something. What I'm offering isn't charity. You'll work for it. You'll earn every dollar. The job is real. The expectations are real. I need someone competent running my front of house. And Victoria says you have excellent people skills and attention to detail." She investigated me. "Of course, I don't hire people without knowing who they are." He paused. "I know you worked 2 jobs for 6 months and never missed a day. I know you put yourself through community college while taking care of your sister when she was sick. I know you're the kind of person who says thank you to kitchen staff and remembers people's names. That's who I want representing my restaurant." Lena didn't know what to say. The idea that someone had looked at her life and seen competence instead of failure, strength instead of desperation, left her speechless. "Get some rest," Adrian said. "Monday will be busy." "Wait, Mr. Russo." "Yes. Why haven't you come to the guest house since we arrived?" Silence. Then, because 8-year-old boys who've been through trauma don't need a strange man showing up at their door. "When Noah is ready to meet me, you'll let me know." The line went dead before she could respond. Lena stood in the dark kitchen, phone in her hand, trying to understand this man who thought about how an 8-year-old might feel about strangers. This man who'd saved her from Derek with cold efficiency, but called to make sure Noah was adjusting okay. Nothing about Adrian Russo made sense. Monday morning arrived too fast. The car picked them up at 7:30. Noah wore his new school uniform, navy blue pants, white shirt, the St. Catherine's crest embroidered on the pocket. He looked terrified and heartbreakingly young. "You're going to do great," Lena said, squeezing his hand. "And if you don't like it, we'll figure something else out." "Okay." He nodded, not believing her. St. Catherine's was everything Lena had never been able to give him. Clean hallways, new books, teachers who smiled and seemed genuinely happy to meet him. The principal's sister, Margaret, had kind eyes and a firm handshake. "We've been briefed on Noah's situation," she said quietly. "We have a counselor on staff who specializes in selective mutism. We'll make sure he feels safe here." In his classroom, the teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, introduced Noah to his classmates without making a big deal of his silence. She showed him his desk, his cubby, the reading corner. Other kids said hi. One boy offered to share his crayons. Noah looked back at Lena with panic in his eyes. "I'll be back at 3, she promised. "Right here. I won't be late." He nodded, sat down at his desk, looked so small. Lena forced herself to leave before she changed her mind and pulled him out. The car was waiting to take her to Russo's. The restaurant was closed on Mondays, which meant today was training. Victoria met her at the front entrance, all business. "Let me show you around." Russo's was elegant without being pretentious. Dark wood, soft lighting, tables spaced far enough apart for privacy. The kind of place where deals were made over expensive wine and perfectly cooked steaks. "Reservations are managed through this system," Victoria explained, showing her the computer setup at the host stand. "We're booked at 6 weeks out most nights. VIPs get priority seating. Their preferences are noted in their profiles. Allergies, favorite tables, drink orders. You memorize the regulars. You make them feel seen. How many regulars are we talking about? About 60 core clients, plus another 100 who come in monthly. You'll learn them. They spent 3 hours going through procedures, seating arrangements, wine lists, how to handle difficult customers, how to coordinate with the kitchen, how to manage the waitstaff. Lena's head spun, but she took notes, asked questions, absorbed everything like her life depended on it, because maybe it did. At noon, Victoria left her alone to study the reservation system. Lena was scrolling through VIP profiles when she noticed one labeled simply AR. Adrian Russo's file was minimal. No preferences listed, no favorite table, just a note never seated in main dining room, private room only, no exceptions. Curious, Lena jumped, nearly dropping the tablet. She spun around. Adrian Russo stood 10 feet away, hands in his pockets, watching her with those unreadable eyes. He wore a simple black suit that probably cost more than her car used to be worth. Up close in daylight, he was younger than she thought. Mid-30s maybe? Handsome in a severe way, like something carved from stone. "I'm sorry," she stammered. "I was just learning the system." "It's fine. That's what you're supposed to be doing." He moved closer, not threatening, just closing the distance. "How was Noah's first morning?" "Scared, but the school seems good." "Sister Margaret is excellent. Strict but fair. Noah will do well there." He paused. "And you? How are you finding the work?" "Overwhelming, but I'll learn." "I know you will. Victoria doesn't train people she doesn't believe in." There was a strange intimacy in standing here with him in the empty restaurant, surrounded by tables draped in white linen. Like they were the only two people in the world. "Can I ask you something?" Lena said before she could think better of it. "Yes." "What did you mean? When you said someone should have cared when you were 8? Adrian's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Something dark and old and painful. "Exactly what I said. I was 8 years old. My father was—" He stopped, chose his words carefully. "A violent man. And no one stopped him. No one protected me. I learned very young that the world doesn't save people. So now I do, when I can. That's why you helped me." "Yes. And Derek, if he comes back, he won't." "How can you be sure?" Adrian stepped closer, close enough that Lena could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes. "Because I went to see him yesterday, in his motel room. I explained very clearly what would happen if he ever came near you or Noah again. He understood." Lena's blood ran cold. "What did you do to him?" "Nothing. I didn't have to. Sometimes the promise of consequences is enough." His voice was soft, almost gentle. "You don't need to know the details, Lena. You just need to know that you're safe. Noah is safe, and Derek will never touch either of you again." "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can. No hesitation. Absolute certainty. That's what this is. That's what you agreed to. My protection in exchange for your work. I keep my promises. All of them." Lena wanted to step back, but found she couldn't move. "I don't understand you." "You don't have to. You just have to trust that I'll do what I say I'll do. And if I can't trust you," something almost like hurt crossed his face, "then you're free to leave, anytime. I meant what I said. You're not a prisoner, but if you stay," he held her gaze, "I need you to let me protect you. That means following the rules. That means not questioning every decision. That means accepting that some things are better left unknown." "That's asking a lot." "I know, but it's the only way this works." They stood there locked in a silent standoff. Lena realized her heart was racing, not from fear, from something else, something dangerous. "I should get back to studying," she said quietly. Adrian nodded, stepped back. "Of course, Victoria will be back at 2. If you need anything before then, I'm in my office. 3rd door on the left down that hallway." He left without another word. Lena sank into the nearest chair, her legs suddenly weak. What the hell was she doing here, playing house in a Mafia boss's guest cottage, working at his restaurant, letting him dictate her entire life? But when she picked up her phone and saw the photo she'd taken that morning, Noah in his school uniform, nervous but brave, she knew exactly what she was doing. She was surviving. And if that meant making a deal with a devil who happened to have kind eyes and a broken childhood, then so be it. At 3 o'clock, the car took her back to St. Catherine's. Noah came out holding a drawing, his first from the new school. It showed stick figures at desks. One of them was smiling. "Good day," Lena asked. He nodded, actually nodded. No hesitation. "Make any friends?" Another nod. He pointed to the drawing. Two stick figures sat together. Lena felt tears threatening. "That's wonderful, baby. I'm so proud of you." That night, after Noah was asleep, Lena stood at the guest house window looking toward the main house. One light was on, the same upstairs window as before. Her phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. "He showed his drawing to Ms. Rodriguez. She says he's settling in better than expected. AR." Lena stared at the message. How did Adrian know about the drawing? Had the teacher called him? Was he monitoring Noah's progress that closely? She typed back, "Thank you for checking on him." The response came immediately. That's what family does. And whether you're ready to accept it or not, you're both families now. Sleep well, Lena. Family. The words sat in her chest like a weight and a promise and a threat all at once. Lena closed the curtains, checked the lock, set the alarm. Went through the nightly ritual that was supposed to make her feel safe. But lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, all she could think about was Adrian Russo's voice saying, "You're both family now," with such quiet certainty that it felt like a vow. And the terrifying part was how much she wanted it to be true. How much she wanted to believe that this man, this dangerous, powerful man, who lived in shadows and spoke in promises, could actually be what he claimed. Protector, provider, family. God help her, but she was starting to believe him. And that was the most dangerous thing of all. 3 weeks passed like a dream that hadn't quite solidified into reality. Lena fell into a rhythm she'd never expected to find. Mornings getting Noah ready for school, watching him slowly emerge from his shell. Afternoons at the restaurant, learning the subtle choreography of managing Russo's front of house. Evenings with Noah doing homework, reading together, being a family in their temporary cottage, while the permanent apartment remained perpetually a week away from being ready. She should have been suspicious of how smoothly everything was going. Should have known better. The call came on a Thursday afternoon while Lena was reviewing Saturday's reservation list, and Victoria's number flashed on her screen. Derek made bail again. Lena's blood turned to ice. "What? How is that possible? You said..." "The charges didn't stick." Witness recanted, said she'd been mistaken about the trespassing. "He walked out of county lockup an hour ago." Mrs. Chen, oh God, did he threaten her again? Did he hurt her? "She's fine. She's staying with her daughter in Connecticut until this is resolved." But Lena Derek posted on social media 20 minutes ago. Just 2 words found you. The phone nearly slipped from Lena's hand. "He knows where we are." "We don't think so. It's a bluff. Psychological warfare. He's trying to flush you out, make you panic and do something stupid." "Like what?" "Like leave the estate without security, like try to run, like contact him to negotiate." Victoria's voice hardened. "You do not respond. You do not engage. You stay exactly where you are. Do you understand? Noah, I need to get Noah from school." "Already handled. Security picked him up 10 minutes ago. They're bringing him home now." Home. The word caught in Lena's throat. When had the guest house become home? What about the restaurant I'm supposed to work tomorrow? You work. Life continues as normal. That's how we beat people like Derek. We don't give them the power to disrupt our lives. After Victoria hung up, Lena sat frozen at the host stand. The restaurant buzzed around her with pre-dinner preparations, wait staff setting tables, kitchen staff prepping ingredients, the ordinary machinery of business humming along like the world hadn't just tilted sideways. "Lena." She looked up. Adrian stood in the doorway to his office, his expression unreadable. "My office, now." She followed him down the hallway through the door marked private into a space she'd never entered before. The office was surprisingly simple. Desk, chairs, bookshelves, nothing ostentatious, nothing that screamed money or power. Just quiet efficiency. Adrian closed the door. "Victoria told you." "Yes. And you're thinking about running." "No, maybe. I don't know." Lena's hands were shaking. "He's out there. He's looking for us. How is that supposed to be safe?" "Because he doesn't know where you are, and he won't find out." Adrian moved closer, his voice calm in a way that should have been reassuring but somehow made everything feel more dangerous. "Derek is desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. He's already made several." "Like what?" Like posting threats on social media that can be documented. Like violating the terms of his bail by attempting to contact you. Like making it very clear to anyone paying attention that he's dangerous. Adrian's eyes were cold now, calculating. Every move he makes digs his grave a little deeper. And when he finally makes the mistake that matters, I'll be ready. Lena's stomach turned. What does that mean? It means you need to trust me. Can you do that? You're asking me to trust a man I barely know. I'm asking you to trust the man who's kept you safe for 3 weeks. The man who gave Noah a school where he's making friends. The man who's paying for the therapy you didn't know I'd arranged because I knew you wouldn't accept it if I asked. Adrian stepped closer still. I'm asking you to trust what I've done, not who I am. You arranged therapy. Dr. Harrison, child psychologist, she's been consulting with Ms. Rodriguez at St. Catherine's. Noah's been seeing her twice a week during his art class. He doesn't even know it's therapy. He thinks they're just talking about his drawings. Lena couldn't breathe. Why wouldn't you tell me? Because you would have said no. You would have insisted you couldn't afford it. You would have felt guilty and obligated and 1,000 other things that would have stopped you from accepting help your nephew desperately needs. His voice softened. I'm not trying to control you, Lena. I'm trying to help. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, it feels like the same thing. Then maybe you're standing in the wrong place. They stared at each other. The air between them felt charged with something Lena couldn't name. Anger, fear, something else that terrified her even more. I need to see Noah, she said finally. He's in the guest house with Maria, safe, happy, probably drawing. Adrian moved back behind his desk, putting distance between them. Take the rest of the day. Be with him. Tomorrow we continue as planned. Understood. And Derek is my problem, not yours, not anymore. Lena left the office feeling like the ground beneath her feet had shifted without her noticing. Everything Adrian said made sense. Everything he'd done had been for their protection. So why did it feel like she was losing control of her own life, one small decision at a time? At the guest house, Noah was indeed drawing. Maria sat beside him at the kitchen table working on her own sketch. They looked up when Lena walked in. Mama's home early, Maria said with a smile. Good surprise, yes. Noah ran to her, wrapped his arms around her waist. Lena held him tight, breathing in the smell of his shampoo, feeling his solid weight against her. Real, safe, here. Hey, baby, heard you had an adventure today. Security picked you up from school. He nodded, pulled back, pointed to the drawing. It showed a car, 2 stick figures in the back seat, both smiling. You liked riding in the big car. Another nod, enthusiastic this time. Maria gathered her things. I'll leave you two alone. See you Saturday, Noah. After she left, Lena made dinner while Noah did homework at the table. They fell into their routine with the easy comfort of 3 weeks' practice. But Lena's mind kept circling back to Derek's message. Found you, 2 words designed to shatter her peace. Her phone buzzed. Text from Adrian. Security report us no activity near the estate. Derek is in the city. Nowhere near you. Breathe. She typed back, how do you know where he is? Because I'm having him followed. Go to bed, Lena. Everything is under control. Having him followed. Of course, because that's what men like Adrian Russo did. They anticipated. They controlled. They moved pieces around a board Lena couldn't even see. That night she lay awake listening to the sounds of the estate. Wind in the trees, the distant hum of traffic on the main road. Normal sounds, safe sounds, but sleep wouldn't come. At 2 in the morning, she gave up and went downstairs, made tea, stood at the window looking toward the main house. The light in Adrian's upstairs window was on. Always on. Did he ever sleep? Without thinking, she grabbed her phone and called him. He answered on the first ring. Can't sleep. How did you know it was me? Your number is the only one that would call me at this hour. A pause. Talk to me. I don't know what to say. Then just stay on the line. Sometimes that's enough. They sat in silence together, separated by 100 yards, in a lifetime of different experiences, connected by a phone line and something neither of them wanted to name. When I was 8, Adrian said suddenly, my father locked me in a closet for 3 days because I'd smiled at the wrong person. A teacher who'd asked if everything was okay at home. He said I'd nearly exposed him, nearly ruined everything. So he taught me a lesson about keeping secrets. Lena's throat tightened. Adrian, I'm telling you this because I need you to understand. I know what it's like to be small and powerless. I know what it's like to wait for someone to save you and have no one come. That's not happening to Noah. I won't let it. You can't save everyone. No, but I can save him. And you, if you let me. What if I don't know how to let someone save me? Then we'll figure it out together. The vulnerability in his voice broke something open in Lena's chest. This wasn't the cold mafia boss from the alley. This was someone who understood trauma from the inside. Someone who'd survived something dark and come out the other side still capable of caring. Thank you, she whispered. For everything, for Noah, for me, for not giving up even when I push back. Lena, I'm not doing this because I'm a good person. I'm doing it because you and Noah make me remember there's still something in this world worth protecting. She didn't know how to respond to that, didn't know what it meant or what he wanted from her or what she was willing to give. Get some sleep, Adrian said gently. I'll be here if you need me. You're always here. Don't you ever leave. Sometimes, but not tonight. Not while Derek is out there making threats. You're staying awake because of us. I'm staying awake because that's what you do when people you care about are in danger. People you care about. The words settled into Lena's bones like truth. Good night, Adrian. Good night, Lena. She hung up but stayed at the window watching his light, knowing he was watching back. Two people standing guard over each other in the darkness. Friday came too fast. Lena worked her shift at the restaurant managing reservations and VIP clients with growing confidence. The regulars were starting to recognize her. Remember her name. One elderly couple even requested her specifically to help them plan their anniversary dinner. You're good at this, Victoria said, watching Lena coordinate with the kitchen for a last-minute menu modification. Better than I expected. Is that a compliment? It's an observation, but yes, also a compliment. Victoria's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, frowned. I need to take this. You've got the floor. Alone at the host stand, Lena managed the dinner rush with practiced efficiency. Greeting guests, managing the wait list, solving small crises before they became problems. She was so focused, she almost missed the man who walked in at 7:30. Almost. He was young, maybe mid-20s, with the kind of expensive casual clothes that screamed money without trying. He approached the stand with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Reservation for Morrison, 7:30. Lena checked the system. I don't see a Morrison for tonight. That's strange. I called this afternoon, spoke to someone named Victoria. Let me check with her. Lena reached for the phone. The man's hand shot out, grabbed her wrist. Don't. Lena froze. His grip was light but threatening. Let go of me. Where's Noah? Her blood turned to ice. I don't know what you're, Noah Carter, 8 years old, your nephew. Where is he? Security. Lena tried to pull away. The man leaned closer, his voice dropping. Derek says to tell you he's done playing games. You have until midnight to bring the kid to the old address, or he's coming to get him himself. Derek sent you. Midnight? Don't be late. He released her wrist, turned to leave. Wait. But he was already gone to disappearing into the crowd of Friday night diners like he'd never been there at all. Lena's hand shook so badly she could barely dial Adrian's number. He answered immediately. Someone was just here, looking for Noah. Said Derek sent him. Gave me an ultimatum. Where are you right now? The host stand. Go to my office, lock the door, don't open it for anyone but me. I'm on my way. But the restaurant... Now, Lena, she ran, through the dining room, down the hallway into Adrian's office. Locked the door, pressed her back against it, breathing hard, trying not to panic. Derek knew about the restaurant, which meant he knew more than they'd thought, which meant maybe he did know where they were staying, which meant Noah wasn't safe. The door handle rattled. Lena's heart stopped. Lena, it's me! Open up! Adrian's voice. She unlocked the door with shaking hands. He came in like a storm, eyes blazing, phone already to his ear. Pull the security footage from the last 30 minutes. Front entrance. Send it to my phone, now. He ended the call focused on Lena. Are you hurt? No, he grabbed my wrist. Told me Derek wants Noah by midnight, or he's coming himself. Did he say where? The old address, our old apartment. Adrian's jaw tightened. That's a trap. He knows you're not stupid enough to go there. He's trying to scare you into running, into making a mistake. It's working. I know, but you're not going to run. You're going to stay here while I handle this. Handle it how? His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen, his expression darkening. I know who he is. Marco Tonelli, small-time enforcer, works for whoever pays. Derek must have scraped together enough cash to hire him. He knows about the restaurant. Adrian, what if he knows about the estate? What if he knows where Noah is right now? He doesn't. The estate isn't connected to you or me in any public records, but we're not taking chances. He made another call. Move them tonight. Guest house to the main residence. East wing, second floor. Full security detail. I want eyes on every entrance. He listened, then said, I don't care if the apartment isn't ready. They're not going back there. They stay here, permanently if necessary. He hung up. Lena stared at him. The main house, Adrian, we can't. You can and you will. The guest house has too many access points. The main house is a fortress. You'll be safe there. For how long? As long as it takes. That's not an answer, and it's the only answer I have right now. He moved closer, his voice gentler. Lena, I promise to keep you safe. That's what I'm doing. Please, trust me. She wanted to argue, wanted to insist they could handle this another way. But the memory of Marco Tonelli's hand on her wrist, his cold threat about midnight, the way he disappeared like smoke, it all pointed to the same conclusion. They were running out of options. What about Derek, she asked. You said every move he makes digs his grave deeper. Is this the mistake? Is this enough? Adrian's eyes went cold. It's enough. Marco made a direct threat against a child. That crosses every line. Derek just signed his own death warrant. What are you going to do? What I should have done 3 weeks ago. The way he said it, flat, emotionless, final, made Lena's blood run cold. Don't kill him. Please. I don't want that on my conscience. It won't be on your conscience. It'll be on mine, where it belongs. Adrian, he threatened your nephew. My nephew now, whether you're ready to accept that or not. I don't negotiate with people who threaten children. He pulled out his phone again, typed something quickly. Security is moving Noah to the main house as we speak. Victoria will take you there when your shift ends. Pack nothing. Everything you need will be provided. This is insane. This is survival. There's a difference. His phone buzzed with incoming footage. He watched for 30 seconds, then made another call. I want Marco Tonelli found within the hour. I don't care how. And when you find him, bring him to the warehouse, alive. I want to have a conversation. He ended the call, looked at Lena. For just a moment, she saw something in his eyes that terrified her. Not the cold calculation, but the rage burning underneath it. The fury of a man who'd been powerless once and had spent his entire adult life making sure he'd never be powerless again. Go back to work, he said quietly. Smile at the guests. Act like nothing happened. Give Derek the illusion that his little stunt didn't work. Can you do that? Lena wanted to say no. Wanted to run to Noah, grab him, disappear into the night, and take their chances alone. But she tried alone. Alone had gotten her beaten in an alley, had gotten Mrs. Chen threatened, had gotten them exactly nowhere except deeper into danger. I can do it, she said. Good. I'll see you at the house later tonight. Your rooms are being prepared now. Rooms, plural. In Adrian Russo's home, the place she'd been carefully avoiding for 3 weeks, the man she'd been keeping at arm's length while secretly calling him at 2 in the morning when she couldn't sleep. This was happening, whether she was ready or not. Lena went back to the host stand, smiled at arriving guests, managed reservations, pretended her world wasn't imploding for the second time in a month. At 10 o'clock, Victoria appeared. Car's ready, let's go. The drive to the main house felt surreal. Lena had made this trip dozens of times, but always to the guest cottage, never to the main residence. Now the car pulled up to the front entrance, where light spilled from tall windows and security personnel stood at attention. Inside was elegant but not cold. Warm wood, comfortable furniture. The kind of house that had been lived in, not just designed. Victoria led her upstairs to a suite that looked like something from a luxury hotel. 2 bedrooms connected by a shared sitting room. Everything carefully chosen, nothing accidental. Noah was already there sitting on one of the beds with Maria. He jumped up when he saw Lena, ran to her. Hey, baby, she whispered, holding him tight. Big adventure, huh? We're staying in the fancy house for a little while. He pulled back, pointed to the window. His eyes were wide with wonder. From here, you could see the lights of the city in the distance, the sprawl of the estate below the world spread out like a promise. Pretty cool, right? Lena managed a smile. Maria stood. I'll stay tonight if you need me. The room next door is set up for overnight staff. Thank you, but we'll be okay. After Maria left, Lena helped Noah get ready for bed in his new room. He explored every corner, opened every drawer, tested the mattress by jumping on it until she told him to stop. Normal kid behavior. Like this was all a fun adventure instead of them hiding from a man who wanted to hurt them. She tucked him in, kissed his forehead. I know everything keeps changing. I know it's scary, but I promise you, baby, we're safe here. Mr. Russo is making sure of that. Noah's hand found hers in the dark, squeezed. I love you too, she whispered. After he fell asleep, Lena went to her own room, sat on the edge of the bed, tried to process everything that had happened in the past 6 hours. A knock on the suite door made her jump. Adrian stood in the hallway, still in his suit, looking tired in a way she'd never seen before. Can I come in? She nodded, stepped aside. He walked into the sitting room, hands in his pockets, looking around like he was seeing the space for the first time. These were my mother's rooms. Before she died, I haven't let anyone use them since. But they're the safest in the house, closest to my quarters, furthest from external access points. Your mother's rooms, Lena repeated softly. She would have liked you. She always said the world needed more people who fought for their family. What happened to her? Cancer 10 years ago. She made me promise I'd use everything my father built for something better than he did, that I'd protect people instead of hurting them. He looked at Lena. I've tried, not always successfully, but I've tried. Is that what tonight was about, protecting us? Yes. And Marco Tonelli will never threaten anyone again. Lena's throat tightened. Did you? He's alive. Terrified but alive. And currently explaining to Derek exactly why coming after you was the worst decision he's ever made. Adrian moved to the window, looked out at the estate. This ends tomorrow, one way or another. Derek will either accept that you're untouchable and disappear, or he'll make one final mistake. Either way, by tomorrow night, you'll be free. What if he doesn't back down? Adrian turned to face her. In the low light, he looked younger, more vulnerable. Then I'll do what I've always done. I'll remove the threat. Permanently. I don't want you to become a killer because of me. Lena, I became a killer a long time ago. That's not on you. But how I use that now, who I protect with it, that's my choice, and I choose you. I choose Noah. He crossed the room, stopped just close enough for her to feel the heat of him. I choose the family I never had, if you'll let me. Lena's eyes burned. You barely know us. I know enough. I know you'd take a beating to protect Noah. I know you work yourself to exhaustion and never complain. I know you're stronger than anyone I have ever met, even if you don't see it. His hand lifted, hesitated, then carefully tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I know that when I look at you, I remember what it feels like to want to be better. And that's not something I've felt in a very long time. Adrian, you don't have to say anything. I'm not asking for anything except your trust. Let me finish this. Let me keep you safe. And then when Derek is gone and you're settled in the permanent apartment, you can decide what happens next. No pressure, no obligations. Just a choice. Lena looked up at him, at this man who held so much power but used it to protect an 8-year-old boy he barely knew. At this man who stayed awake all night, standing guard. At this man who'd given them his mother's rooms because they were the safest place he had. Okay, she whispered. Okay, I trust you. Finish it. Keep us safe. And then, she took a shaky breath. Then we'll see what comes next. Adrian's eyes softened in a way that transformed his entire face. For just a moment, he looked like the 8-year-old boy he'd once been. Hoping someone would care. Hoping someone would stay. Thank you, he said quietly. He left without another word, and Lena stood alone in his mother's sitting room, wondering what she'd just agreed to. Wondering if trust was the same thing as surrender. Wondering if maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found someone who understood that protection wasn't about control. It was about giving someone safe enough space to heal. Through the window, she could see the estate spreading out in all directions. A fortress, a prison, a home. Tomorrow, Derek would make his final move. and Adrian would make his, and Lena would discover whether the choice she'd made tonight was salvation or the beginning of something far more complicated than simple safety. But for now, Noah was sleeping peacefully in the next room. And for the first time in 6 months, Lena let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, they were finally truly safe. The call came at 4 in the morning. Lena jolted awake, heart racing before she even understood why. Her phone was buzzing on the nightstand, Adrian's name on the screen. "Hello. Get Noah. Meet me downstairs. Now." The line went dead. Lena's hands shook as she threw on clothes, ran to Noah's room. He was already awake, sitting up in bed, eyes wide with fear. He'd heard something, sensed something, and, "We have to go, baby, right now. Don't ask questions. Just trust me." She grabbed his hand, pulled him into the hallway. Security personnel were everywhere, moving with urgent efficiency. One of them, a woman Lena recognized from the day shift, put a hand on her shoulder. "This way, Mr. Russo is waiting in the safe room." "What's happening?" "Derek breached the outer perimeter. He's on the property." Lena's world tilted. "How is that possible? You said, move now." They ran downstairs Lena had never seen before, through a door hidden behind a bookshelf, into a room that looked like something from a spy movie. Reinforced walls, multiple screens showing security footage, communication equipment, and Adrian standing in the center of it all, phone to his ear, coordinating something that sounded like a military operation. He ended the call when he saw them, crossed the room in 3 strides, dropped to one knee in front of Noah. "Hey, buddy, I know you're scared, but I need you to be brave right now. Can you do that for me?" Noah nodded, trembling. "Good man. You stay here with Lena. Don't leave this room no matter what you hear. Understand?" Another nod. Adrian stood, looked at Lena. He got past the outer fence using bolt cutters, avoided the cameras by staying in the blind spots. He's better prepared than we thought. Where is he now? Somewhere between the fence and the house. We're searching. His jaw tightened. He's not getting to you. I promise you that. You should call the police and say that a man with no warrant, no criminal record in this county is on my private property. By the time they arrive, this will be over. He moved to the monitors, pointed to different screens. Every entrance is covered. Every approach is monitored. He can't get in without us knowing. As if on cue, one of the monitors flashed. Movement near the west side of the house. Adrian's phone buzzed. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. "Keep visual contact. Do not engage unless he tries to enter the house. I'm coming up." "No," Lena grabbed his arm. "Don't go out there. Stay here with us." "He came to my home, threatened my family. That requires a response." "Your family?" Adrian looked at her, and in his eyes, she saw something that stole her breath. Not possession, not obligation, something infinitely more dangerous. "Yes, my family, and I protect what's mine." He left before she could argue. The door sealed behind him with a heavy click. Lena pulled Noah close, watched the monitors with her heart in her throat. On screen, she could see Adrian emerge from the house, flanked by 2 security personnel. They moved across the grounds with practiced precision, heading toward the west side where Derek had been spotted. "Please be careful," she whispered to the screen. Noah tugged on her hand, pointed to another monitor. Lena's blood froze. Derek was there, clearly visible in the infrared camera. He wasn't trying to break in. He was standing in the open waiting, like he wanted to be found. It was a trap. Lena grabbed the phone on the wall, a direct line to security. "It's a trap. Tell Adrian it's a trap. Derek wants him to come outside." But it was too late. On the monitor, Adrian and Derek were facing each other in the middle of the grounds. Too far away for Lena to hear what they were saying. Close enough to see Derek pull something from his jacket. Not a gun. Papers. Adrian took them, read them by flashlight. Even through the grainy footage, Lena could see his entire body go rigid. What were those papers? Derek was talking now, gesturing. Adrian stood perfectly still. Then slowly he handed the papers to his security team and stepped closer to Derek. Close enough to touch. Close enough to kill. Lena couldn't breathe, couldn't look away. Then Adrian turned, walked back toward the house, left Derek standing there alone in the dark. 5 minutes later, Adrian came through the safe room door. His face was expressionless, controlled. But Lena had learned to read the tension in his shoulders, the set of his jaw. "What happened? What did he give you?" "Legal documents, court filing. Derek is suing for custody of Noah." The floor dropped out from under Lena's world. What? He claims as Noah's blood relative and only surviving family on his mother's side, he has more legal right to custody than you do. He's filed an emergency petition with the family court. That's insane. He beat me. He threatened us. He broke into your property, which is my word against his. The assault behind the restaurant has no witnesses except me, and my testimony won't hold up in family court. They'll say I'm biased because I'm your employer. Adrian's voice was flat, professional, the tone of someone delivering bad news he'd already processed. The trespassing charge was dismissed. The violation of parole is being contested. On paper, Derek looks like a concerned family member trying to rescue his nephew from... He stopped. From what? From living with a known criminal. Me. That's his angle. That you've placed Noah in danger by accepting my protection. That I'm an unfit influence. Lena's legs gave out. She sank into a chair. This can't be happening. There's more. He's requested an emergency hearing Monday morning. The court will evaluate Noah's current living situation and make a preliminary custody determination. They can't just take him. They can if they determine he's in an unsafe environment. And right now, living in my house under my protection... Adrian's voice cracked slightly. That's exactly the argument Derek needs. Noah made a small sound. Lena had almost forgotten he was there, taking in every word, understanding enough to be terrified. It's okay, baby, she said, pulling him close. We'll figure this out. But she didn't know how to finish that sentence. Didn't know what came next. Adrian crouched down beside them. Noah, I need to ask you something important. Do you want to stay with Lena? Or do you want to go live with Derek? Noah's response was immediate and violent. He shook his head so hard, his whole body moved. Grabbed Lena with both hands, pressed his face against her shoulder. Okay, Adrian said gently. Okay, that's what I needed to know. He stood, pulled out his phone. I'm calling my attorney. We fight this. With what you said it yourself, living here makes it worse. Then you move out. Tomorrow. The apartment is ready. You take it. Establish distance between us. Show the court you're independent, employed, capable. That won't be enough. He's blood family. The courts favor biological relatives. Not if we can prove he's dangerous. Not if we have documentation of his threats, his history, his instability. Adrian was pacing now, thinking out loud. Marco Tonelli. He made a direct threat on Derek's behalf. We get him to testify. He'll never do that. He will if the alternative is worse. Adrian made the call, put it on speaker. Victoria, wake up. We have a situation. For the next hour, they planned. Victoria arrived at the safe room within 20 minutes, already on her phone coordinating attorneys. Dr. Harrison, the child psychologist, was contacted for an emergency evaluation of Noah's mental state. Ms. Rodriguez from St. Catherine's was asked to provide a statement about Noah's progress. Even Mrs. Chen, safely in Connecticut, agreed to give testimony about Derek's threats. But underneath all the planning, Lena could feel the truth pressing down. Courts moved slowly. Bureaucracy favored blood. And Derek, for all his violence and instability, had one advantage. They didn't. He was family by birth, not choice. At 6 in the morning, Victoria left to start filing countermotions. The security team confirmed Derek had left the property. Noah fell asleep in Lena's lap, exhausted from fear and adrenaline. Adrian sat across from them, his tie loosened, his usual control visibly fraying. I'm sorry, he said quietly. This is my fault. If I hadn't brought you here, hadn't made you visible at the restaurant, Don't. You saved us. You gave Noah a chance to be a kid again. None of this is your fault. Isn't it Derek's entire argument is that I'm dangerous? And he's not wrong. I am dangerous. I've done things. He stopped, looked away. Maybe the court is right to question whether Noah should be here. Stop it. Noah is safe here. Safer than he's ever been. Derek is using the law as a weapon because he can't win any other way. That doesn't make you the bad guy. Lena, I've killed people. Not in self-defense, not in war, in business. For power, for control. That's who I am, what I am, and now that truth might cost you Noah. The rawness in his voice broke her heart. Then we fight harder. We show the court who you really are. Not the reputation, not the rumors. The man who gave Noah a school where he's learning to trust again. The man who pays for therapy he doesn't have to pay for. The man who stayed up all night standing guard because an 8-year-old needed to feel safe. That won't matter to a judge. Then we make it matter. They sat in silence the weight of Monday's hearing pressing down on both of them. Finally, Adrian stood. Take Noah upstairs, get some rest. I'll have breakfast sent up at 8. And Lena, he paused at the door. Whatever happens Monday, I want you to know. These past few weeks, having you and Noah here, he struggled for words. It's been the closest thing to family I've had since my mother died. Thank you for that. He left before she could respond. Lena carried Noah back to their suite, tucked him into bed. He stirred slightly, opened his eyes. Mama, he whispered. Lena's heart stopped. What did you say, Mama? Don't let him take me. His voice, she was hearing his voice for the first time in 6 months. Broken and small and terrified, but real. Oh, baby, you're talking. You're actually talking. Please, I don't want to go with Derek. I want to stay with you. And he swallowed hard. And Adrian, he's good. He keeps us safe. Tears streamed down Lena's face. I won't let anyone take you. I promise. We'll fight. All of us together. You love him. The statement was so unexpected, so direct, that Lena couldn't even form a denial. I see how you look at him. Noah continued, his voice gaining strength with each word. Like Mom used to look at Dad before he died. Like he's home. Noah. It's okay. I like him too. He makes you smile. And he taught me how to tie my shoes last week when you were at work. He didn't have to do that, but he did. Lena hadn't known that. Hadn't known Adrian was spending time with Noah, teaching him small things, being present in ways that mattered. When did you decide to start talking again? She asked. Tonight, when I heard you scared. I wanted to tell you it would be okay, that I'm not scared anymore, not when we're here. She held him until he fell back asleep, his words echoing in her mind. You love him, like he's home. Was it true? Had she fallen for Adrian Russo? Somewhere between the alley and the safe room, between fear and trust, between surviving and actually living. Sunday passed in a blur of preparation. Attorneys came and went. Documents were reviewed. Strategy was discussed. Noah stayed it close to Lena, speaking in whispers, now each word precious and new. Dr. Harrison came for an emergency evaluation and emerged 2 hours later with tears in her eyes. He's talking, she told Lena and Adrian. After 6 months of silence, he's talking. And do you know what he said? He said he feels safe enough now to use his voice, that he's not afraid it will make bad things happen anymore. That's extraordinary progress. She looked at Adrian, that's what happens when a child feels protected. The hearing was scheduled for 9 o'clock Monday morning. Lena barely slept Sunday night. At 7, she got herself and Noah ready. The outfit Victoria had chosen was professional, but warm, maternal, responsible. Everything a judge needed to see. Adrian met them downstairs wearing a suit that somehow made him look less dangerous and more like a successful businessman. His attorney, a sharp woman named Catherine Reed, briefed them in the car. Derek's argument is emotional instability and dangerous environment. Our counter is documented progress, stable employment, and comprehensive support system. The emergency nature of the hearing works in our favor. The judge won't make permanent decisions today. Just preliminary custody while the full case proceeds. What does that mean? Lena asked. It means we need to convince the judge that Noah is safe with you right now. Not forever, just right now. Can you do that? The family court building was nothing like Lena expected. Smaller, more intimate, less like a courthouse and more like an office building. They were directed to a small courtroom where Derek was already sitting with his attorney, a young man who looked fresh out of law school. Derek looked different, clean-cut, sober, wearing a suit that actually fit, playing the part of concerned family member to perfection. When he saw Lena, he smiled. It was the cruelest thing she'd ever seen. Judge Patricia Morrison entered, and everyone stood. She was in her 50s, gray hair pulled back, eyes that looked like they'd seen every custody battle variation possible. This is an emergency preliminary hearing regarding custody of Noah Carter. Age 8, she began. Mr. Hoffman, you filed for emergency custody based on concerns about the child's current living situation. Miss Carter, you're opposing. Let's start with you, Mr. Hoffman. Make your case. Derek's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client is Noah's second cousin and closest living blood relative on his mother's side. He's concerned because Miss Carter has placed Noah in the household of Adrian Russo, a known organized crime figure with documented ties to illegal activities. Furthermore, Miss Carter has no legal custody agreement. She's been acting as guardian without court approval since her sister's death 6 months ago. Judge Morrison looked at Lena. Is this true you have no formal custody arrangement? Catherine Reed stood smoothly. Your Honor, Miss Carter was designated as guardian in her late sister's will. The will is in probate, which takes time, but the designation is clear and legal. As for Mr. Russo's involvement, Miss Carter is employed at his restaurant as front-of-house manager. She lives independently in her own apartment. Mr. Russo has provided employment and security assistance, nothing more. She lives in his house, Derek's attorney countered. Currently, right now, we have documentation showing she and the child have been residing on Mr. Russo's private estate for 3 weeks. Lena's stomach dropped. How did they know that? Temporarily, Catherine said. Due to Mr. Hoffman's repeated threats and attempts to forcibly take the child, Miss Carter required secure housing while her permanent apartment was being prepared. As of this morning, she has moved into independent housing on the Upper West Side. Mr. Russo has no financial interest in the property. That was news to Lena. When had that happened? Judge Morrison made notes. Mr. Hoffman, you claim the child is in danger, but I see here you have 3 assault charges, 2 convictions, and a parole violation. All misunderstanding, Your Honor. Charges that were dismissed or resulted from. Answer the question, have you ever been violent toward Miss Carter? Derek's jaw tightened. We had a disagreement. Emotions ran high. Did you put your hands on her? She was keeping my family from me. Yes or no, Mr. Hoffman? Silence. Then reluctantly, yes, but, and have you threatened her or the child since that incident? I wanted to see my nephew. That's not what I asked. Catherine stood. Your Honor, we have multiple witnesses willing to testify to Mr. Hoffman's threats, his social media posts, his attempts to break into Miss Carter's former residence, his hiring of an enforcer to deliver threats at Miss Carter's workplace. She placed documents on the bench. Marco Tonelli's sworn statement given this morning. He details the exact threats Mr. Hoffman paid him to deliver, including a midnight ultimatum that referenced kidnapping. Derek's face went red. That's a lie. Mr. Tonelli is currently cooperating with prosecutors on unrelated charges. Catherine continued. He has no reason to lie. In fact, lying would jeopardize his plea agreement. Judge Morrison read the statement. Her expression hardened. Mr. Hoffman threatening to kidnap a child is a serious criminal matter. Do you understand that I never said kidnap? I said I wanted my family. According to this statement, you said, and I quote, bring the kid by midnight or I'm coming to get him myself. That sounds like a threat to me. Derek's attorney looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. Your Honor, my client's methods may have been misguided, but his intentions are irrelevant if his methods constitute criminal behavior. Judge Morrison turned to Lena. Miss Carter, stand, please. Lena stood, her legs shaking. You've been caring for Noah for 6 months with no formal custody agreement, no financial support from the state, no assistance from other family members. Why didn't you file for legal custody earlier? I couldn't afford an attorney, Your Honor. I was working 2 jobs just to keep us fed and housed. The will is in probate. I thought that was enough. I didn't know I needed, her voice cracked. I was doing the best I could. And Mr. Russo's involvement, he offered me a job with real pay and benefits. He offered us protection when Derek threatened us. He's never asked for anything in return except that I do my work well and keep Noah safe. That's all. You're comfortable with Noah being around a man with Mr. Russo's reputation. Before Lena could answer, Noah stood up. Everyone turned to stare at him. Noah, sit down. Lena started. Can I talk? He asked the judge, his voice small but clear. Judge Morrison's eyebrows rose. I was told you don't speak. I didn't. For a long time, but I do now. He took a breath. Adrian is good. He's not scary. He helps me with homework. He taught me to tie my shoes. He lets me draw in his office when Mama works. He never yells. He never hits. He makes Mama smile. Derek, Noah's voice hardened. Derek hurt Mama. I saw the blood. I saw her crying. I don't want to go with him. Ever. I want to stay with Mama, and I want Adrian to keep us safe because he's the only one who can. The courtroom went silent. Judge Morrison looked at Noah for a long moment, then at Lena, then at Adrian, who'd been sitting quietly in the gallery the entire time. Mr. Russo, approach please. Adrian stood, walked to the front. Up close next to Derek, the difference was stark. Derek looked desperate. Adrian looked calm. In control, dangerous, yes, but not to Noah, not to Lena. You're aware of your reputation, Judge Morrison said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Your Honor. And you're aware that having a child in your household, even peripherally, opens you to scrutiny. Yes, Your Honor. Why involve yourself in this situation? Adrian glanced at Noah, at Lena. When he spoke, his voice was quiet but firm. Because I was 8 years old once, and no one protected me. And I swore that if I ever had the power to protect a child who needed it, I would. Regardless of cost, regardless of consequence. He looked back at the judge. Noah is a good kid. Lena is an excellent mother figure. They deserve safety. I can provide that, so I do. Even though it damages your reputation, makes you vulnerable to exactly this kind of legal challenge. Reputation is what people think of you. Character is what you do when no one's watching. I choose character. Judge Morrison made more notes. The silence stretched. Finally, she spoke. Here's my preliminary ruling. Legal custody remains with Miss Carter pending probate completion of her sister's will. Mr. Hoffman, you are prohibited from any contact with Miss Carter or Noah pending a full custody hearing, which I'm scheduling for 60 days from now. Violation of this order will result in immediate arrest. She looked at Derek. You want to prove you're fit for custody? You clean up your record. You complete anger management. You demonstrate stability. Until then, you stay away. Derek's attorney tried to object. Judge Morrison cut him off. As for Mr. Russo's involvement, she looked at Adrian. I'm going to trust an 8-year-old's judgment. Noah feels safe with you. That speaks louder than any reputation. But understand this, Mr. Russo. If anything happens to that child, if he's endangered in any way because of your lifestyle or your business, I will personally ensure you face every legal consequence available. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Your Honor. Good. This hearing is adjourned. Miss Carter, take your son home. Mr. Hoffman, my clerk, will provide you with information about anger management programs and parole compliance. Do not make me regret giving you another chance. The gavel came down. It was over. Lena couldn't move, couldn't process what had just happened. Catherine was shaking her hand, congratulating her. Adrian was talking to the judge's clerk. Noah was pressed against her side, holding tight. Derek stood across the courtroom, his face twisted with rage. For a moment, Lena thought he might charge at them, but Adrian was there, blocking his path, saying something too quiet for Lena to hear. Whatever it was made Derek go pale. He turned and walked out, his attorney trailing behind. Outside the courthouse, Lena finally let herself breathe. We won. We actually won. Preliminary, Catherine reminded her. But yes, you won the battle that mattered. Adrian pulled her aside while Catherine talked to Noah about his brave testimony. There's something you should know. The apartment, the one Catherine mentioned, it's ready, has been for a week. I was waiting for the right time to tell you. You lied to the judge. No, Catherine said you moved in as of this morning. You did. Your things are already there. Movers handled it at 6 a.m. He handed her a key. 23rd floor, 2 bedrooms, view of the park, security system, doorman, everything you need. Adrian, I can't afford. It's part of your employment package. We've been over this. You earn this, you work for it. The restaurant is doing better since you started managing the front. Reservations are up. VIPs are happy. You've more than justified the expense. This is too much. It's exactly enough. He crouched down to Noah's level. Hey, buddy, you were very brave in there. I'm proud of you. Noah threw his arms around Adrian's neck. Thank you for keeping us safe. Adrian's eyes closed. When he opened them, they were suspiciously bright. Always, that's a promise. They went to the apartment together. Noah ran from room to room, claiming the smaller bedroom opening, closets testing the windows. Everything was perfect. New furniture, stocked kitchen, even toys and books already arranged on shelves. When did you? Lena couldn't form complete sentences. I pay attention. I know what Noah likes. I know what you need, and I have resources. Adrian stood in the middle of the living room, the hands in his pockets, looking uncertain for the first time since she'd met him. Lena, I need to say something, and I need you to just listen. Can you do that? She nodded. I didn't plan this. Any of it. I saw you getting hurt in that alley and I reacted. That's all it was supposed to be. A reaction. But then I met Noah, and I saw you trying so hard to be enough for him. And I remembered what it felt like to need someone to care. And somewhere along the way, he stopped, gathered himself. Somewhere along the way, this stopped being about protection and started being about family. Real family. The kind you choose. Adrian, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you that these past few weeks, having you here, watching Noah heal, seeing you smile when you think no one's looking, it's changed me, made me want to be better, made me believe I could be better. And whether you stay or go, whether this continues or ends today, I need you to know that. You and Noah gave me something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. Lena's eyes filled with tears. We're not going anywhere. You don't have to decide now. I'm not deciding. I already know. Noah was right. You feel like home, and I don't know when that happened or how, but it did. So we're staying, if you'll have us. Adrian crossed the room in 2 strides, cupped her face in his hands. If I'll have you, Lena, you're the best thing that's happened to me in 10 years. You and Noah both. I don't deserve you. But if you're willing to take a chance on a man with a dark past and an uncertain future, I swear I'll spend every day trying to be worthy of that chance. You already are. You saved us, not just from Derek, from giving up, from believing we'd always be alone. He kissed her then, gentle and fierce and full of promise. When they broke apart, Noah was standing in the doorway of his new room grinning. Finally, he said, I've been waiting for you two to figure it out. They laughed, actually laughed. The 3 of them in this new apartment, this new life, this new family they'd built from broken pieces and desperate choices and the kind of protection that came from love, not fear. 2 months later, the full custody hearing was a formality. Derek never showed up. His attorney filed a withdrawal citing client noncompliance. Judge Morrison made Lena's custody permanent with barely a question. 6 months after that, Noah's selective mutism was a memory. He talked constantly now, about school, about his friends, about the summer vacation Adrian was planning for the 3 of them. A year after the night in the alley, Lena stood in Russo's restaurant, managing the dinner rush, when Adrian appeared at her elbow. Yes, boss, she said with a smile. I need to show you something. In my office, She followed him curious. Inside, Noah was waiting, holding a drawing. This one showed 3 stick figures. They were holding hands. Above them, in careful letters, family. We've been talking, Adrian said, Noah and I, and we have a question for you. Noah pulled out a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring. Simple, elegant, perfect. Mama, will you marry Adrian so we can be a real family forever? Lena looked at them, this man who'd learned to protect instead of hurt, this boy who'd found his voice again, this life they'd built together from nothing but hope and determination. Yes, she whispered. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Adrian slipped the ring on her finger. Noah cheered. And somewhere in the universe, Lena's sister was smiling, knowing her son had found what she'd always wanted for him. A home where he was safe, where he was loved, where he could finally truly be just a kid. 3 people who'd started as strangers, brought together by violence and fear, had become something neither of them expected, a family built not on blood, but on choice, on trust, on the kind of love that says, I will protect you, I will stand with you, I will be your home, no matter what comes. And in the end, that was the only kind of family that ever really mattered.